Guys, you ready? Good morning. If you're watching from anywhere in South Africa, this is Maranda van Dam. I'm from the Axial Spondyloarthritis Association of South Africa. And join me today for a Voice of the Patient interview. Now, the purpose of these interviews is for us to take a deep dive into experiences that our patients have, and also for them to share their journey, their struggles, and also their victories. We're really excited today to have Elmor van Staden with us. He's also one of our new members, and he was very keen to share his story with us today. Elmor, thank you so much for your open heart and for being with us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Maranda, and hello to you as well, and hello to everyone.
Elmor, so let's just start at the very beginning. Tell me a little bit more about who Elmor is. I mean, you don't need to give me too many personal details, but where you live, you've got a family. Who is Elmor van Staden?
Sure, yeah, that's always a difficult one. Where does one start? So I live in Johannesburg. We moved to Johannesburg about 20 years ago. I'm married to Karin, and we have two wonderful children. Both of them are grown now. Our son is down in the Western Cape, and our daughter is currently teaching English in South Korea in a town called In or city called Incheon. So
Wow.
miss the kids. We now realize what emptiness syndrome really means, and it is a reality. I can confirm that.
Yeah, it
And
is a huge thing when the kids leave the house, huh? Nothing can really prepare you for that feeling.
yeah, that is true. So I
Yeah,
work for a computer company, global organization that's based in Bryanston. And I'm employed as a services manager in the IT field.
that's amazing. So Amma, what led you? How did you find us? What happened? I mean, I'm assuming you are a patient. Tell us your story.
Let me say, I'm so fortunate to have found this group. And I mentioned to someone else this morning that what difference it's already made just to know that you're not alone. And how did I come across Expa? Probably via social media. And the group seems to be quite active in marketing and advocating for our disease. And so it's probably through the social media that I got to know about the group. And from there, just to sign up and made contact with you eventually. So looking forward to meeting with more of the other members and to read about their stories on the various channels as well.
That's remarkable, Amma. Now we are really happy that you found us, and being part of a community adds so much value to a life of a patient. Maybe you
Yeah.
can just take us through the journey of when you first had your first symptoms. How did you get diagnosed? How did this all happen? How did this all go down for you?
Yeah, sure. I guess it's different for every person. So for me, I- I've s- I started suffering from what I thought was lower back pain from a very early age. I'd say maybe even my teens. And I remember waking up with a lot of stiffness in my back and suffering from back pain when I had to stand for long periods of time. So shopping with my mom was really a big dread for me. And back then I didn't know what caused it. And so I was quite a keen sportsman at school. And I probably at the time thought it's due to athletics practice or maybe overdoing things in a rugby match or practice. And I, I also remember when the pain was really quite severe, I would ask my mum to just give me a good back rub, and that seemed to have helped. And other things I'm sure that we'll talk about that I also found worked a lot. But initially, I didn't know about the reality of illness underlying all of this, or underlying the symptoms.
Mm. So when did you realize that this wasn't norm? I mean, like you from a young age have had problems with your back. When did
Yeah,
yourself
probably.
start thinking this is not okay?
Yeah, yeah. I think I must have been 32 years old or so, and after more than a decade of complaining about back pain and stiffness. And my brother challenged me the one day, and he asked me, "Now, how long are you planning to continue to suffer before you go see a doctor?" And by then he had already walked or had a journey with a rheumatologist, um, and had a diagnosis. And somewhere during this 10, 12 years, he started talking about his illness, and he asked me to get tested for that gene.
Mm.
Um, and I tested positive for that. So I think he might have known more about my symptoms that I was experiencing, bless you, was
So,
experiencing at the time. And he suggested that I go see a rheumatologist. And
mm,
I only met with the doctor at probably about 32 years of age. So it's more than 10 years, 10 to 14 years that I suffered from lower back pain and
mm,
sore joints. And
mm,
before I was diagnosed initially with ankylosing spondylitis, AS.
mm,
The names seem to have changed slightly
mm.
um, to what it is called
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, so the name is actually still the same, Elmor. So the word probably hearing is axial spondyloarthritis, which is the umbrella
Yes,
term for the disease. And on
yes.
the one side, we have ankylosing spondylitis, which is visible in an MRI. And then you have
Okay,
the non-radiographic axpor, which is not visible. So you're right by saying it's ankylosing spondylitis. That's the
okay.
subdivision under the umbrella.
Yeah.
And how did it make you feel? I mean, you obviously didn't speak about it, or like you say, you keep on knowing something's going on, and take somebody saying to you, your brother saying, hey, what are you going to do about it? And how did you feel when you finally got diagnosed? What happened? What happened with your inside and your heart and what did you think?
It helps to know a bit more, to be informed, in a way, to have a label, so, this is what's wrong with me.
Mm,
And I remember some of the details will be a little bit vague. It's so many years ago.
mm,
But I remember the doctor mentioning to me that there are probably two things that you need to be aware of. The one is make sure that you keep an active life,
mm,
and look after yourself and your health. And then the second thing is that you'll most probably be on some form of anti-inflammatory for life.
mm,
And I got my diagnosis in Pretoria just before we moved to Johannesburg.
mm,
And I had a 6-month prescription. So we moved to Johannesburg, and then the prescription expired.
mm,
And I never followed up on that, which today I'm really sorry about.
mm,
And but that's part of my journey. And
mm,
a colleague of mine that borrowed a trailer from me as a thank you gift bought me one of these gym foam rollers. And he suggested that, whenever instead of complaining to me about your backache, whenever you feel discomfort, just take the foam roller and roll it out.
mm,
And I did that for years. And that in combination with whenever things flared up or I experienced a lot of pain, I would just get over-the-counter anti-inflammatories or pain tablets, and I mainly managed it like that for close to 20 years.
mm, mm. I mean, I think that it's normal to, you know, not follow your script or your medication because I think part of one always wants to believe you don't really need to be managing it. So I
Yeah.
think that happens with a lot of patients. So I don't think you need to. I don't think you need to be hard on yourself about that. That happens. We see it happening quite a lot. Um,
That's good to know. Thank you. Because especially
yeah,
as you start feeling better, then
yeah, yeah.
you, the question comes up, do I really need to take this still?
And one doesn't really want to take medication. I mean,
Of
who
course.
wants
Of course.
to take
Yeah.
medication? I'd rather skip it. But then you go, well, if you keep on skipping it, then what, 10 days down the line or 2 weeks down the line, what
Yeah.
does that picture look like for you? So you
Yeah.
always got to
Yeah.
just
True.
manage it. Um, and I'm interested to know about your family, when you got diagnosed, did you feel supported? Did you feel finally maybe you were not, I always felt like I was complaining without a reason and people were starting to think, maybe, I'm sure there must have been some relief in that for you to know that there is a diagnosis.
Yeah. I have been very fortunate, Maranda. I've always had a very supportive family,
Mm,
and my mom especially. And I've always had a ear that I knew would listen.
yeah.
And family tend to, I think the ones like my brother that is quite that has had his own journey with autoimmune illness.
Mm,
Um, Probably understood more of what's happening inside my body, and what it all means. And if things were, I remember s- uh, at some point in time, I had a red eye or some infection or needed to go for eye test or something. And I mentioned this to my brother, and he asked very informed decisions. And later on, I realized that the reason he asked that is because with some of the autoimmune illnesses, that can be one of the symptoms. And so I think I had the great fortune of some family members being well informed and others being good listeners
mm.
and not
Absolutely.
judging. I never felt judged. And if you
Mm,
don't feel up to something on a Saturday and you need to do a few chores around the house, and there's always the next Saturday. Yeah.
yeah. I always find that's where the pressure is. I guess you like in a way as your kids, but I mean, you will plan a big day or you'll plan a big activity and you wake up that morning and you can't do it. And
Yeah.
like, although the family will probably really understand, one is really hard on oneself. So that for
Yeah.
me personally is quite difficult when I'd say to the kids, oh, we're going to go down to the beach and have a full beach day, and I wake up and I'm unable to take them and they're fine not going. But for me, I feel so bad and so guilty for
Yeah, you
not
do feel
showing
guilty.
up.
Mm.
So I guess that is one of the tools that one has to have to speak kindly to oneself,
Yeah.
and not be hard on yourself already because it's already hard enough,
Yeah.
managing a disease.
That's often the most difficult part is the inner talk.
Mm,
And why is this happening to me? And then fearful thoughts as well. And maybe just the realization that I'll probably have this for life. And then the worry that may come in, okay, but what if things get worse? And those thoughts have been the worst for me. So it's
And
really
how do you
important
how do
to
you talk to yourself then when you have those thoughts? I mean, we all have them, let's be honest. People won't say
yes,
it out loud, but
yes,
what
yes.
happens? How do you then talk to yourself when you start feeling scared or not really knowing what it's going to look like for you? How do you talk to yourself, or how do you calm yourself down after that?
Sure, Marina. I think the two things that's really helped for me over the years. The first is to always have been part of a community, and I'm involved with a few different communities where I have an opportunity to talk about, let's say, talk about my life in general, the past week, for example. And if I found it quite difficult that week with my health, with a sore back, then I would have an opportunity to talk about it. Almost
Mm,
like uh, a counseling type session. It feels therapeutic in a way.
mm,
So I think that having such a community or someone that you can reach out to makes a big difference.
mm.
And yeah, I don't know if that's helpful at all.
Yeah, I mean, that's helpful. How does one speak to oneself when things get tough, you know? And
Mm.
I think that's something that we need to focus on is how we deal. Are you as kind to yourself as you are to other people?
Yes,
And
exactly.
if that answer is no, you need to go back to the drawing
Yeah.
board.
Yeah, and what
Um,
is definitely been helpful is to focus on the small things in life that one can be grateful for.
mm,
And it's still the case today, but especially when the kids were still small, a lot of our lives revolved around them. And it's
mm,
just one of the joys in life to see them excel in life and, master things that they put their heads to, and just to see them enjoy life and live up to their full potential. And and if we look at the suffering around us, um,
mm,
just to realize that life is difficult often for people, that especially when people don't have all the resources.
mm,
And there's a lot that one can be grateful for. The fact that I could reach out to a rheumatologist and get a diagnosis and go to a pharmacy and buy medication if needed. Not everyone has that. So it's
mm,
really important. It's been important for me to focus on the things that I can be grateful for.
mm. No, it's beautiful to hear. And one says, you can choose to focus. You can choose where you focus. It's almost like somebody once told me the story about a torch, If you point your light to something, that's where your focus is going to be. So, your
Mm.
back might be sore, but the rest of your body's feeling fine. So
Yeah,
that
exactly.
is the focus is such an important thing.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to know what for you has been the most helpful managing your disease. I mean, obviously you have got a treatment protocol with your doctor, but let's talk about the non-medication part of it. Like if you're
Mhm.
having, how do you manage your bad days or your not feeling great days, or what helps for you? Because for all of us, it's a different recipe.
Sure. I've recently cut out, let's say I had a change in my diet plan. Mainly
Ah,
cut out a lot of sugar
yes,
and cool drink. And that has definitely made a difference.
yes.
Um, but I think the biggest thing for me over the years is to have led an active life, uh,
Mm,
to not overdoing anything.
mm,
And I remember how at some point in my life I enjoyed playing a bit of golf. And I would go to the driving range and I would leave the driving range feeling terrible, with my back aching. And the next morning I would definitely know about it. And not to stop that, is to get up the next day and to do something different. If, Go
mm,
for a walk. And so I've always enjoyed a little bit of jogging, um,
mm,
to go to a gymnasium, mainly for stretching. Stretching
mm.
out seemed to have helped a lot for me, and walking.
So, I mean, so if we're talking about active, we're not talking about Ironman
No, not at all.
capacity.
No.
Yeah. So, what is
Yes. Yes.
active? I mean, I'd like to break down the active because I think
Yeah.
sometimes when people think about active, you go, whoa, well, Elmor's running
It's something
marathon. What is,
extreme. No, not at all.
yeah, it's that
Yeah.
small, consistent movements of your body,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, and a variety. I like variety in life. So,
Yeah.
yeah, if I can play a bit of squash or a bit of tennis or go for a
Yeah.
walk or go for a swim sometimes, or whatever it is, it's just to keep the
Yeah.
body moving. And
And I think the reality is if a normal, let's say an undiagnosed person goes and plays golf for the first time in 5 years, they're going to wake up the next morning being stiff, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
normal. It's
Yeah.
normal if you haven't walked forever and you go walk and the next day you're stiff. That should be happening.
Yeah.
But then you must carry on doing it the next day and the next day. And that's where the magic is to not
Yeah.
give yourself a sick note because of the pain, to understand that these muscles haven't worked. They're going to be sore. I mean, I run stairs once a week and I haven't been running. And I went on Tuesday and I tell you my calves, I can barely walk, but that's normal. That's not
That's
axpar.
normal. Yeah. Yeah.
So just also distinguishing between when you're feeling sore, if that is a normal sore or if it's an axpar sore. I
You know,
think that is
Miranda, we all have stress factors in our life, and it's just to be aware of those factors for me, and to manage it as best as possible. And sometimes, often, work is very demanding, and
mm,
require sitting up at night with a client issue, and that changes too. So a week later, things have been resolved, and then one can look forward again. So it's just
mm,
to really be aware of what's happening in my inner life,
mm.
and what emotions am I experiencing, and to try and be in the present as much as possible. And so I sometimes think, yeah, my back has really been hurting today. And then I have a regular practice of quiet meditation, which I do. I call it my quiet time every morning, and sometimes during the day as well. And when I do that, I'm in the moment. Then it's almost like the pain dissipates. Uh, Later I know about it again, but yeah, so the more I tend to be in the present moment, the less I'm aware, the less I worry about things.
It's interesting you talk about meditation because I was actually in a training workshop for this international training workshop, and there was this one of the sessions was about meditation, and I said to them immediately, don't talk to me about meditation. I've tried it, I just can't meditate. And she said, well, for the purpose of this course, you have to commit to a week of meditation and just be
Okay.
open your mind to it and whatever. And I literally then was like not happy, but I did it. And I tell you, I actually feel a big difference. So I've started now, and we're not hugging trees or anything, but I've started now every day having 10 minutes where I do this body awareness meditation,
Yeah,
especially
yeah,
when I'm feeling overwhelmed or stressed. I just go and I try and connect with myself again. And it really works. I was the world's biggest skeptic, but meditation
it,
is a great tool and we can all do it. It's not something that you need to pay
that's right.
for
Yeah, yeah.
expert advice. So
I
that's
like
quite,
what you mention is it reminds me of the importance of being aware of our
mm,
bodies.
mm,
It's not something mentally only or even transcendental and being
mm,
at a beach in your mind or something. I don't know. Different things for different people. It's really just to be in your body and be aware
yeah,
of what
yeah.
you're experiencing in the here and the now.
And also not running away with the feeling. I feel
Yeah.
like if you wake up and your back's sore, then you just need to wake up and you go, okay, my back's sore. That's what is happening. But what happens often with us is, oh, you go, my back's sore. Now you go, well, I've got a paddle booking at 3. Am I going to be able to make the paddle booking? And then you
Yeah.
go, well, am I going to be tired? I'm going to be able to do that. And you add on top of the problem. And
Yes.
actually, really, the problem is that you woke up and your back is
Yeah.
sore. So I think also just
Yeah.
going down to the primary feeling all the time and not adding on top of it because then the load becomes so heavy that you cannot carry it.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that is quite important. So I'm interested to know if you had to have 2 minutes with a brand new patient that's just been diagnosed, what would you say to them? I mean, what is the one thing that you wish now somebody came to you and said to you, Elmor, this, what would be that thing that you would give to a brand new patient that's just been diagnosed, if you can say something to them?
I think to start off with, I hope I would be listening with empathy. and because I know how much value that has for me.
mm,
If I have someone that I can talk to, and I really feel listened to, and
mm,
it feels like a big burden off my back already. So hopefully I can be that to someone. And then maybe to realize the permanency or the seriousness of the condition.
mm,
I think for many years I didn't fully understand the full extent of the illness, and I, as a result, I probably blamed my body. I said, but why, why are you acting this way? Is this really necessary? Can it not be different? And so to be as informed as possible, but
mm,
then also we have to be kind to ourselves.
mm,
You mentioned paddle, and if you're not able to follow through on a commitment, it is what it is, not to bash yourself for not being able to go
mm,
play the paddle game or go to the beach with the kids, whatever, just to realize, but that is where I am now, and that is okay as well, and just to allow you the luxury of being ill, if that is where you are.
mm. It's almost that like that. It's okay not to be okay sometimes. Having a
Yes.
tired day, just be
Yeah.
tired. Get in your
Yes.
pajamas, be tired. Sit, watch that movie. Chances are you're going to wake up tomorrow and it's going to be okay, or it's not going to be okay. So just also allowing yourself the space to feel what you're feeling and being okay with it.
Yeah. To be patient with yourself, I guess, is another
Yeah.
way of putting it.
And how important is it for you to be, we briefly spoke about this before we started the interview, to I found this community and you made some comment to me and just started speaking and I wanted you to repeat that. What did you experience once you found that there was a community out there that is just like you? How important is it for you to be part of a community?
It's very important, Randa, and and yet another thing to be grateful for, for this community to exist,
Mm,
to be part of something like this, where you, amongst other people that have a similar experience. And I guess every individual's experience is quite unique, but there's almost like this is my tribe. When I complain about something or I have questions about something, these are the people that will really understand what I'm talking about.
mm,
And through the information that's shared, there's I have in the last couple of weeks since I've come across the Xbox community, I've learned much more about my illness, but more importantly, I've learned a lot more about myself and my body,
mm.
and that's been very beneficial as well. And
Isn't
it's good
it?
for to read other people's challenges
Mm,
as well. You
mm,
don't feel alone in it,
mm,
and it often leaves me grateful for small things.
mm. Isn't that amazing? If you imagine, I mean, you've had kids now, or when you have your first baby and geez, man, you have that book, What to Expect When Expecting, and I had 4 books that I was reading out of, and how you educated you become and how much
Yeah,
information
yeah,
you take in. But somehow we as patients don't do the same with our disease.
yeah,
And like you say, be curious, learn more. An informed patient is an empowered patient because you know what
yeah,
is expected. You can sit down and have a proper conversation with your doctors. And you can even have a proper conversation with people about your disease. You're not sitting there going, well, I don't actually really know what it means. So I think that curiosity of information is also really an important tool of to use to get your head around
yeah.
your head around the disease.
Yeah, that's so true, Miranda. My colleagues often, you'll say I'm wearing a scarf, and recently had a flare up, and for the first time ever, And the most of my discomfort and pain have been in my upper body and my
Mm,
between my shoulder blades and my neck, especially my neck. So I've been
mm,
dealing with a stiff neck for a few weeks, and my colleagues also want to know, what's wrong with you? What do you have a stiff neck? And I think for many years I would not have been able to explain to them, what am I dealing with,
mm,
in a way that would make sense to them. And and it's also not something, there's a side to it that does feel a little bit personal. So
mm,
I would maybe feel uncomfortable to overshare with them as well. But it's very useful to have some basic knowledge that I can share with
mm,
my colleagues and people that that meet me, that want to know why do you act the way that you do? Why do you not turn your head? Why do you turn your whole body to look at me? Sometimes you get questions that remind you of, oh yeah, I've got um I have spondylitis, and I tend to have a stiff neck. The last couple of weeks have been a challenge to drive
yeah.
in traffic. And especially when my wife drives with me, she's my co-pilot, so she'll have help look out for other traffic. So,
Mm,
so I guess we're adaptable
yeah.
as human beings. We do adapt, and it's wonderful to have support around you, people that don't judge you, that just go with the flow.
Mm. I mean, always my son says, I want to say to you that not all superheroes wear capes. And you are a superhero. And I mean, I can feel that just by listening to what you're saying. Yes, you've got this disease, but it's almost like that's your superpower. Despite of that, you are still living a happy, grateful life. You
Yeah,
taking joy in the moments. You're at work, your neck's killing you. And that makes you a superhero, and you are a superhero. So,
it does make us unique, doesn't it?
yeah. And once you
Yeah,
think about it also like that about yourself, going, well, actually, you try
yeah.
and sit through a whole day with a neck like this, then not a lot of people will be able to do that.
A friend the other day mentioned, or she was inquisitive, why or what is different about our conversation today. And then we did a quick check-in before we started with the agenda, and I shared about how my week has been, and I had a very tough week with back pain that week, and I, I, I probably won't forget what she mentioned. She said, "Oh, that must be it," because she's also learned that when people are in pain, they speak almost. It's almost like they speak through a veil, and that's what she said. And it was noticeable to her that our
Mm,
conversation was different somehow. And when I
mm,
explained to her what I've gone through that week and number of specialists that I had to visit, and it all made sense to her. So yeah, that must be it. So there is that element of just
mm,
getting on with life, and definitely not to allow it to steal the joy from our lives. That's for sure.
mm. No, that makes sense. And I mean, expo is a part of your life. It's not your whole life. And I think one
Yeah,
has to always weigh it up. One has to say, okay, sure, you over there. And I like have this little conversation sometimes with Max, and I'm going, hey, back, I hear you, I feel you, you're not feeling great, but you stand on that side. I've got other things to do now, so I can't focus now on my back. So it's almost like naming it and saying, okay, I see you there, and you have your
yeah,
space, but you're not going to take my whole day away.
yeah, that is true.
Yeah. Elmore, it's been such a joy to chat to you, and thank you for sharing your story. I know you also publishing in our newsletter some insights, and you're very keen. I'm sure you're going to see a lot more of you in the organization to help us get involved. I'm already thinking we should do a meditation session together with some
That's a good
patients
idea.
and teach them how to meditate. I'm thinking that could be quite fun. So Thank you so much for showing up and for being honest and vulnerable and grateful and full of joy. You are such a beautiful example for our patients, and I can't wait to share this interview with everybody at home. Um, if you've been listening to this interview and to Elmor today, I hope that somewhere you've been touched and you can say, I know what he's talking about. And we're hoping by sharing these stories with other patients that it encourages everybody to talk about what it is they're going through, and having this environment where you can just say what you want to say and nobody's going to go, but what's going on here? So thank you for this lovely interview, Almo, and for being so
Thank you,
positive.
Melinda.
And we're looking forward to doing this journey with you, and we're happy to have you in the organization. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. The pleasure is all mine. And thank you to you as well, Miranda, for the tireless efforts that you and the way that you devoting your life for the organ for Expo and for the members as well.
Yeah, it's a privilege, only a privilege. Great. Well, you guys must all have a fantastic day, and we will look forward to welcoming you back to an interview again soon. Have a great day.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye bye.